can't see it's my first eye.
God damn, that a big bitch!
Well, how's it shaking, proxies? My name's FOXSOL. Welcome to another video right here on the channel. Do hope you enjoy. Alrighty. Proxy, my man, how is it going? We're going to go ahead and do ourselves a reaction video to a video that was 2 months ago about the HP inflation debate is annoying by Blue Panda right here. And yeah, my chat just went ahead, my asthma priest just went ahead and showcased this video to me. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at it, and let's give our opinion, because we're just having a conversation here really quickly about HP inflation, because we just saw from another video from Blue Panda pretty much that, you know, while HP inflation does exist in ZZZ, and there was another content creator out there, the Jester himself, saying that you need Miyabi, this man proved it wrong. Like countless other CCs, he has proved it wrong. So let's see what the wording from him about HP inflation debate and why it's so annoying. All right, let's get through with this.
HP inflation has been the topic of discussion for the past month in the ZZZ space, and I wanted to add my input onto the matter. First of all, let's address the obvious facts. HP inflation is a thing in Zenless on Zero. The enemy health bars have been getting bigger over the past couple of updates, and players are naturally worried. However, I'm not here to talk about the drama or semantics about HP inflation. Instead, I want to talk about how bad people are at building characters in gacha games first. Now, I know that this topic will definitely ruffle some feathers, but I personally am tired of pretending that it's not a factor when it comes to discussions like these in gacha games. Before we get into things, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing afterwards. Without further ado, let's get into it.
All right, well, first and foremost, he does acknowledge that HP inflation does exist. But he wants to counter-argue about this with people not learning how to do, you know, not knowing the builds. So let's go ahead. We're going to hear him out here. And I'm already subscribed to the channel because of that last video. So let's take a look.
I've seen my fair share of players in ZZZ that specifically struggle to clear endgame content, and a lot of their struggles can be due to a lack of understanding or knowledge on how the game works. Most of the time, they're not even that bad at the game. They just need a small push in the right direction on how to build their characters. And I understand that I'm not exactly the right person to be saying this, but ZZZ is by no means a difficult game at all. Most mobile games aren't. Yes, you have to be attentive and reacting to things in game, but a lot of the successes you will have in ZZZ comes down to making sure your characters are well invested into, making sure that they're max level, core passive maxed out to F, and W engine maxed out as well. ZZZ is a stats-based numbers game first before it is a hack and slash games. All Halo games and lookalikes are like this. You can be the most cracked out Miyabi player in all of NA, but perfect gameplay means nothing if you can't provide the numbers to back it up. 99% of the time, your runs will improve by making sure that you have the right builds and subsets on your characters first before getting good at the game. And considering that this is endgame content we're talking about here, you know, content that is supposed to be challenging, if your characters are not at least level 60 core E and have an idea as to what disc they're gonna use, then you're not ready to clear the content yet, regardless of your skill level. And that's okay. This isn't me gatekeeping at all. You can literally go out and farm all of the mats for your characters with no limitations besides stamina. You can get an extra 60 to 80 stamina for free every day, and farming mats in this game takes literally 2 minutes regardless of what content it is. You can also,
You know, he's actually correct on this side too. I'm going to put it like this: playing Weathering Waves and streaming Weathering Waves. I actually met a GN player. I don't know about maybe about like 8 months ago or so, to where he came into my stream saying that he could not complete anything in the Tower Adversity with his GN. That he was only getting, you know, 2 medals or whatever it was. And we looked at it. He sent screenshots and everything else. We looked at the account and everything. And you know what the problem was with him? He had put in the best echoes. He had gotten the character up to summon 3. You know, he actually pulled for GN. And he actually got Varant Summit and everything else, the weapon for the signature weapon for GN, up to a rank 2. And the reason why he wasn't completing it was because every single part of his actual skill tree was 1s. He never leveled up his skill tree. And when we saw that, I was like, dude, you just completely missed your biggest investment opportunities here. Like, you need to level up your skill tree. The moment he actually started leveling up his skill tree on his characters and GN and everything was the moment he started clearing it.
Also customize the farming so that you can get multiple mats to build your characters simultaneously. They give you so much freedom in this game, and it's unbelievable compared to all the other gachas I play. The game also gives you core mats every weekly reset and gives you 4 to choose from the association supply shop too. I built my Vivian with no pre-farmed mats in 4 days, due to how easy it is to build in ZZZ compared to other gachas. So sitting here and complaining about HP inflation when you don't have 3 teams that you can use by this point is absolutely insane to me. Keep in mind, I am talking about the group of people that are complaining about HP inflation despite having the teams to beat the content, and not the people who are just starting out and getting more characters on their account. I love you guys.
I was about to say right there, well, we can excuse the new players because they don't understand the fundamentals of the game and stuff like that. Just like when I started back a couple of months ago, it's like I didn't know anything about ZZZ building and everything else. I had the chat that ended up helping me.
Guys so much, and I wish that you guys win all of your 50-50s and 75-25s. Mwah. Now, I'm not gonna throw graphs at your face and tell you that you suck at the game or whatever. I already did a while ago, but that's not the point. But I will say that the higher skilled players are expecting way too much for the casual player base. Like I said, ZZZ is not a difficult game, and anyone can get good at it mechanically. But let's not act like people aren't terrible at building characters in gacha games now. I can understand that if it's a new player who's never played a gacha game before, but I don't think anyone coming from Genshin, Star Rail, Wuwa, whatever the hell, have any excuse when it comes to their builds being this terrible. So the least that I'd expect you guys to do is to make sure that your stunner character has an impact main stat on their 6 drive disc first before you complain about anything. Let
me put it like this. Anybody coming from Wuwa to ZZZ, I think the biggest issue isn't really the build side of things. It's the fact that they don't know how to read sometimes. Reading is hard.
Absolute bare minimum you can do is make sure that your character's 4, 5, 6 main stat pieces are correct before you say anything about HP inflation. I shouldn't see people complaining if you're running stuff like attack percent 6 on Nicole or impact 6 on Piper. What are you doing? Oh my goodness. You guys have had years of these other relic-based games to understand that certain characters need specific main stats to perform better. And I refuse to believe that y'all willingly go into ZZZ, try to clear the endgame content once or twice just because it's there, and don't think for a second that the problem is the builds first rather than your gameplay. And you can't be upset at me for bringing these other games into the mix either, because a majority of the people who complain about HP inflation in the first place use these games as a basis too. So with that in mind, these players still have no excuse for their builds being this bad when they have years of experience in these other gacha games too. They should know better, especially when it comes to the bigger content creators.
We can excuse Weather and Waves because, to be completely honest, in Weather and Waves, all right, a lot of people are still used to the old building style of Wuwa. And what the old building style of Wuwa is, and it's still, let me be honest, it's still relevant to even to the new Weather and Waves, okay? To the, like, 2.0. Back in 1.0 Wuwa, you know how you built your characters, and it didn't matter if it was a support, it did not matter if it was, you know, a sub DPS or a DPS, you built it with crit rate and crit damage. Like, that's it. Like, pretty much, we've had this conversation multiple times on this channel, and the one thing that we can always determine about about every single character, every single DPS, every single sub DPS, every single fucking healer, was they were built almost exactly the fucking same. You are going to use the same type of echo sets, just different colors, basically, different flavors, but it was going to be built exactly the same. If you got a DPS, crit rate, crit damage. You got, you know, a sub DPS, you want crit rate, crit damage as well on it, but you want to make sure they're running basically Moonlit Clouds. You're going to be running fucking a healer, you're going to want Rejuvenation Glow, and you're going to want to run your main echoes completely as a healing bonus, and then you're going to want to prosper off of it. Only ones that kind of was different would be the healers at that point in time. But still, every character, you know, it's not like here in ZZZ where, you know, anomaly proficiency. You don't want to build always in crit rate. You don't want to build this. It's different builds in here. Wuwa, it was like just straight up, you can't fuck up the build. You can't fuck it up. You don't have to read. You just can't fuck it up. As long as you put in crit rate, crit damage, you're good.
You can make the argument that your substats have just not been nice to you at all, and that's okay, but that's still not an excuse either. Even though this game is a numbers game at heart, you still have to play it. If you have a general idea on how to build your characters and a general idea on how the game's mechanics work, the game still rewards you due to how easy it is. This is where the so-called quote-unquote skill expression comes into play here. Big quotation marks on that, by the way. You guys have to understand that people are clearing content with only A ranks and no premium options either because their builds are good and they have a great understanding on how to play the game. And even if your substats aren't perfect, you can still clear content as long as they're in the right general direction. My Yanagi is under 400 AP, and that's with Chaos Jazz and Freedom Blues. Same thing with my Jane too, only that she just barely passed 400, so she still doesn't have enough to get the max attack bonus from Passion Stake. My friend, who is entirely free to play might I add, has more AP on his Jane than me on a weeping fucking Gemini. The exact same build and everything, just luckier AP rolls. Even with this being the case, both of us are able to full clear content due to our intense understanding of both character building and the game as a whole. Hell, I even did a Shiyu run with Jane on a physical resist boss just to prove how easy it is. I did the same thing with Evelyn on Deadly Assault 2. I used her against the Typhoon. But that's more so because Evelyn is on the same tier as Miyabi, yet nobody's ready to admit that, but that's a video for another time. My point is that you need at least serviceable stats first, and then basic fundamentals afterwards to clear endgame content in this game. And if you're struggling, instead of ramming your head against the wall multiple times, ask yourself if you've done everything to make your character strong enough at this point. And if not, go back and make them stronger. The only thing that you don't really need to worry about is the skills, because those are super expensive. If you're a casual player struggling to clear the endgame, please assess the builds you are using and just ask for help if anything. There are so many dedicated communities that are willing to help you craft your teams and carve your way through this content. Discords, TikTok, Reddit forums, so much information and people out there that can help you do this stuff. I literally have a help center in my own Discord dedicated to helping out new players because me and a lot of my audience regularly clear Deadly Assault and Shiyu defense and can help you craft your teams. Yeah, I'll joke around a bit and make fun of you, but that's just because I'm from Massachusetts. We're all assholes up here. But yeah, builds first, skill later. That's the first big thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to players who are bad at ZZZ. Now, let's move on to the next thing. Now, anybody who has been playing CCC for a long time and has a decent understanding of it knows that builds and a little bit of player skill are pretty important to clearing the endgame. But I think that the most important factor when it comes to clearing endgame in CCC is a good understanding on how to build teams. Lots of gacha games don't necessarily have team building baked into themselves, but ZZZ has the added benefit of telling you that, hey, these three characters work together. And if you put these characters with each other, they'll each get a boost to their kit with some great stuff, usually leading to very important skills and abilities that can help you clear this content. Now, the issue that I have with people complaining about power creep and HP inflation comes from this: their lack of understanding on how to build team. I believe that these players are intentionally sabotaging themselves and try to make the content harder for them when it doesn't have to be. What I mean by this is that players will blatantly ignore what a character's kit does and what their synergy requires and take them straight into
what we just basically said before, okay? Some players, some content creators, some streamers, some people who are, you know, afraid of calculators and such, when it comes to reading core kits and everything else and understanding characters and how they work, well, yeah, reading is hard. And that it becomes where the biggest problem comes into this. Not just builds, reading.
Endgame content, making this less of a skill issue and more of a reading comprehension issue. Now, let me just preface this by saying that I'm not mad at people who don't have universal characters or Miyabi on their account. The gacha element of this game does not matter when it's been and time again that you can clear content with A rank only options. Until these channels stop uploading A rank only clears, then this power creep discussion is null and void until proven otherwise. If these people can do it with only A ranks, then you can definitely do it with more. I'm rooting for you. What I'm specifically talking about is that there are people literally refusing to read their characters' kits and pass it. This results in—
He said it. Blue Panda said it. They don't want to read. He said it. And at the same point in time, the other argument when it came down to this was, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, but wasn't it the fact that, oh, it's called sweaty gameplay and I shouldn't be sweaty in a game like ZZZ. It's a gacha game. It's a mobile game. I shouldn't be sweaty. Which, it's not sweaty gameplay. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. From the beginning of playing like any gacha game, whether it's Weathered Waves, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, or even ZZZ, right? There's a learning curve. Those games, when you first start out, if you do not put the time and effort to actually play those games consistently and understand them, it's just like fighting game. You don't build muscle memory. But the moment that you are consistently playing, the moment you're actually, daily playing the game, you're putting a little bit more effort into it each and every time you play. Maybe go rerun Deadly Assault, even though you already cleared it, and keep doing different things, different practices. You're building up muscle memory. You're building up your skill as a player, your skill expression, to where, guess what? What was difficult a couple of weeks ago is actually kind of fucking easy now, because you don't have to think about it. Your body, your muscle memory just takes over. This applies to any gacha game. This applies to any fucking video game, to be honest.
People taking teams like this into endgame. Look, I hate to use Dwarf as an example here, especially because he's not one of the people that fall into this category. But I see stuff like this happen way too often with casual players. Yes, I understand that the UI fucking sucks, but that doesn't give you any excuse to be purposely doing stuff like this. And for those of you still confused as to why I'm mad here, Harumasa isn't getting his passive on this team. Also, the support should have been swapped considering the bosses are weak to the opposite element here. And I'm not trying to attack Dwarf at all or say that he's bad at the game or illiterate. The video this is in has him agreeing and saying that HP inflation isn't a problem. But I have an issue with what he said at this point in the video. You can't go around saying that the content is slowly getting harder and harder for you as a casual player when you are deliberately making it harder for yourself. There is no reason for you to have swapped these supports around on these teams when they are weak to the opposite element here. And this is someone who agrees that HP inflation isn't an issue. Imagine the thousands of people that play like this who don't. And again, this is in no way attacking or hating on bro. I absolutely love what Dwarf is doing with his content and wish nothing but the best for him in his YouTube journey. But let's not act like decisions like this don't mainly affect the way how you clear content. And for every one person that plays like this, there are thousands more of them out there in the wild somewhere. You may think that I'm blowing this up out of proportion, but it's the little things like this that matter when talking about endgame in the long run. You can't talk about content getting harder when Haru is missing out on a whole 40% damage increase that can literally be used to shave off an extra 20 seconds. And having a mono electric team can keep this uptime up longer and make the content easier. Plus, there is no reason for Zhu Yuan to be with those characters. You could make the argument for on-field Zhu with M1, but he doesn't have that. If you're running her 4-piece chaotic, which I assume you are, you want as much corruption as possible so that she deals as much damage as possible. And if you want to say that the lack of stunner is the issue here, he has every character on his account invested into level 60. He could have just ran Anvi Nicole and then trigger Astra on Haru's side if he really wanted to use Astra. Yes, this team ultimately gets everybody's passive up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to another team just to make it work. This isn't a matter of skill issue or having the right subsets. You don't need to be some fighting game guru.
I'm just gonna say, like, I think maybe bro over here, like Blue Panda, I think you might be coming off a little bit, aggressive on this. Just read it from Tactician on the chat right now. They saying, like, right now, if I recall, Dwarf was doing just that to show it's possible to clear with wacky teams. That's what I thought it was, because I think I've watched that video actually before, and I think that's exactly what it was. It's just like to prove a fact that, even with the characters having all these effects and everything, what bro is proving by doing like wacky teams that don't even have like the true support behind it, swapping over and making it harder on himself, he's still able to clear it. Which kind of showcases that HP inflation is not a problem in his own way. It's not that he's trying to give, like the context. He's just trying to show, hey, look, screw what the proper context is. Screw what proper teams are. Let's just do something completely wacky, confusing, and everything, and let's see if we can still clear. This is like if you would put, like, I don't know, like Jane Doe, Ben Bigger, and let's put in, I don't know, Miyabi, okay, on a team, and just throw them in there and put it with just pick a bang boo, pick it like the construction bang boo, pick any bang boo you want, and just go through it, and you're still able to clear Shiyu defense or deadly assault. I mean, the team does not seem like it would work well. It would work together, but if you're able to clear it, would that not prove that HP inflation is not an issue? It would still be harder, but it's proving that it's not an issue. So I think Blue right here is getting a little bit too aggressive. Just saying.
To play this game well, and you don't have to spend hundreds of hours perfecting your disc with godlike rolls. You just need to know which block goes into which hole, because right now you're putting the circle block in the square hole. This went on for way longer than it needed to, but I had to call this out because it's been bugging me for a while now. And again, I'm not hating on Dwarf France for this small mistake he made. He was just unfortunately the one person I saw doing this. This could have easily been anyone else and I would have said the exact same thing, if not have been harsher on them. I just find it disingenuous when casual players are saying that the content is getting harder each patch, yet they're crafting teams like this that deliberately make the game harder for them for no reason. It drives me nuts every time I see a player like this who clearly has the knowledge about the game, but then turns around and does stuff like this. This game is easy. Not exactly a cakewalk since you still gotta play it, but it's fairly easy. And I mean that. Compared to all the other action hack and slashes I've played, Zenless is by far the easiest. I don't necessarily care about the marathon analogy that Dwarf brought up either, because this game wasn't a marathon to begin with. It's a walk down the street. It is a mobile game. It has to be easy because it is on mobile. People are literally clearing content with their feet, for crying out loud. I had someone who is partially disabled in their right hand come to me in the comments and tell me that this game is still easy for them. A person who's disabled in their right hand. The one thing that I can chalk it up to is that players are lazy. You don't suck at the game, you just don't want to play the game. You want the game to play itself and be rewarded first try every time. Look, I'm done pointing fingers here. I know that HP inflation isn't a problem. You, the viewer who actually plays Zenless, knows that it isn't a problem, and the devs themselves know that it isn't a problem. So going forward, if you see any more discussions about HP inflation by tourists or people that don't know how to read, please ignore them or help them out if you need to. And if you made it this far, I just wanted to apologize that this video came off as extremely elitist. That was never the intention of the video, and I promise that all of my opinions are out of love for the newer players and wanting to see them succeed. I understand that not everybody is me. Not everybody has the reaction time or natural knowledge of the game to be where I'm at skill-wise in Zenless. Not that I'm trying to make it seem like I'm
Well, Nova Ghost Super Gaming, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I'm gonna put like this right here for this part right here. Hey, dude, for Blue Panda on this side right here. Straight up, like I don't think anyone should take that harsh. Should take that actually harsh, because again, when it comes to not just ZZZ, like I could say even from my personal experiences with Weather and Waves last year playing that game, people are lazy in fighting games. The reason why I quit fighting games and I started with gacha games and such, and played all this, I quit Guilty Gear, is because games are being developed to be much more casual, much more easier to fucking play. And it's because, in all honesty, a lot of players out there are just too lazy to want to learn a game, and they want everything given to them. And in Weather and Waves in particular, with some of the elements that has been changed in that game particularly, I could tell you that it's becoming a game to where it is catering so much to the players for that entire purpose, to where things are just given to you. Instead of giving you like a real event, you know, something that you actually got to earn with a timer and everything and have some pressure on you, people are upset with the timers. So they're going to basically give you the Blue's Clues puzzles over here, match the colors, bro. There you go. Good job. You're able to understand what red, yellow, and green, blue was, and you were able to go ahead and match all the colors. Now here's 100 asteroids. You know, we're getting to the point where, you know, games in general, and it's not just gacha games in my personal opinion. This is also like how games are nowadays. There are AAA titles. They're getting to become easier they're getting more and more accessibility options, if you would, journalist mode. So that way, even the fucking journalists of like IGN and such can complete these games. I'm just saying.
superior either. I am by no means an expert at ZZZ. I still don't know what half of these characters' kits do because I hate navigating the UI in this game. But I am tired of seeing this endless dividing of the gacha community because of ZZZ. Yes, Zenless is a gacha game at the end of the day, but I'm tired of both sides of this argument here. You don't need to learn advanced maneuvers to clear endgame content, but at the same time, you can't just button mash your way to victory either. There is an organic middle ground that players can discover the more and more they play the game, but not to the level that these elitists are telling you. And yes, disk drive RNG fucking sucks. They all do across every gacha game.
100%.
I've been playing Dislight for 3 years and have nearly every damn character in that game. And I could safely say that I only have about 3 properly built characters there. But I can tell you this now, as someone who's played Zenless every day since release. You do not need perfect substats to clear content. My community literally makes fun of my deadly assault scores every time I post them. And I tell them time and time again that I just have shitty disc luck. But none of it ultimately matters because I'm still getting 9 stars across the board when it comes to deadly assault. And if you want to straw man me and say that it's only because my account has a lot of characters on it, that's fine. But remember that people have not failed to clear endgame modes with only A ranks since the game's inception. So take that as you will. Also, this will be the last time that I will ever bring up another Zenless content creator in a critical light. I want to be absolutely 100% clear with everybody watching my videos from here on so forth. I am not and will never be a drama channel. I am just a fat blue panda who just wants to make content about his favorite gacha game and talk about how he wants to have sexual relations with the bear thyrans in that game. So if you guys think that for 1 second that I'm going to stoop down and become a slop content creator like all of these other channels out there, then you are sorely mistaken. I'm here to make videos that I enjoy watching. And I hope to gain a community of people who also enjoy my content because I love editing videos. And while I am trying to make this a career, I could give less of a fuck if I make money from this shit or not. I just want to make content that other people enjoy watching. That's it. I know that this isn't going to be the last video that we'll see on HP inflation, but I can only hope that you guys with actual brain cells know when to stop interacting with the amount of slop content out there. Here's to ZZZ thriving more and more the closer we get to 2.0. And that's the video. A bit of a detour from the ZZZ series I'm working on, but I promise I'll be back to it next week. I'll be hosting a poll this weekend on the community.
God damn, Pan fucking running
the
the
character I should cover next, so be sure to look out for that. As always, a special shout out to my channel members, FJ, Bear, and Roommate.
All right. So, I mean, overall, I think it's actually a good video. I think actually it hits the points really hard. When it comes down to, this is where like the conversation I had before on stream, and I still need to make this video, is, you know, when it comes down casual versus elitist, right? There is what I like to basically consider like a casual player. You know, there's different tiers of casual. There's different tiers of players' skill levels. And, you know, kind of going against Blue Panda on here, I personally, when it depends on how the way you look at it, right? For veteran players, I think, you know, he's probably correct on this, that like ZZZ is legitimately an easy walk in the park of a type of game. It's not a marathon. I think 100% he's correct on that. But that is going to be to a person who fully understands every single element. That's a person who is going to try to actually learn and go dive into it much harder. This is where more of your elitist status kind of will show in a sense. Casual players not going to do that. This is where, again, players get lazy. Players get, you know, they just want things given to them. And it's just like, go ahead and play the fighting game. It's just like playing any kind of like competitive game there is. League of Legends, Guilty Gear, doesn't matter. You're going to have the beginning players, your more casual players that is just going to want things given to them. That they're going to want to have the answer to the test given to them rather than have to think about the answer. And then hopefully, if they stick with it long enough and they can actually, you know, get past that phase, what ends up happening is they start learning their own way of doing things. They start learning their own construction, you know, and it's not saying that they're going to become an elitist. It just means that they're going to be to a point to where I would honestly say they get past the casual phase because they're putting an effort in. This all comes down to the biggest word when it comes down to play the game. How much effort are you putting into it? Simple as that. So I think it's a good video from Blue Panda. I'm going to go ahead. Like I said, I think for a great recommendation from Miasma Priest for going ahead and showcasing this in the chat. And not sure if you guys agree with the same sentiments. I could tell you that the last thing I'll put into this right here is that when it comes down to like the disc setup, when it comes down to the bad RNG that I have experienced in Weathered Ways and I have experienced in ZZZ, I don't give a fuck about substats, to be honest. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. It's the main stats that I think that for a casual player, what you should be focusing on is you should be focusing on trying to get those substats. However, if you don't get them, you don't get them. At least try your best to get your builds as good as possible, and don't hyper focus, don't get upset, don't get mad that you don't have all this. Time will come, the grind of doing that, sooner or later it will get there. And the more you go get disc, you go feed them, you go to the music shop, you go build up, sooner or later one disc will get to the point to where you want it, and it might turn into a god disc for some reason. But otherwise it ain't going to prevent you from clearing end game. I mean, look, back with Wuwa, man, like my echoes are completely all over the damn place when it comes down to it. Some of them are not even substats, got like 2 defenses on it and like 2 HPs and only got 1 crit rate on it. It's like I didn't care. And you know what? Those characters are still completing Tower Adversity, and they're still completing Whimper and Waste to this day. So otherwise than that, I think it's a great video. And we are going to go ahead and we're going to leave it at that. So like always, keep it classic, keep it jazzy, always keep it real. And until next time, have a good one.